Good evening, everyone. I'm Council President Mally Rosato, and I want to welcome you all to the special OMBGA committee meeting. I am joined tonight by my council colleagues, Councilwoman Wilda Bermudez and Councilman John Gale. I am also joined by Jeff Haling from OMB and Mr. Todd McClutchy from JHM Group, as well as Mr. Michael Lupkus, also from OMB, and our incredible team from Hartford Public Access. Also with us is David Grant, who works in my office. As a reminder, this meeting will be broadcast on Channel 96 for Comcast Xfinity customers and Frontier Channel 6032. Recordings of this meetings will be available through Hartford Public Access TV Facebook page and YouTube channel. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to vote in this year's election. We had a record turnout, and though I cannot state for sure who the next president of the United States is going to be, I can say how proud I am to represent Hartford. To see so many of our residents engaged throughout this process is inspiring and reminds me of the trust you all have placed in us as your locally elected leaders. Regardless of what happens, God bless you all, and God bless the great city of Hartford. So with that said, the first item on our agenda is a communication from Mayor Broning with accompanying resolution transferring $55,981 from the sundry non-operating department expenditures in fiscal year 2021 to the Court of Common Council office. And from OMB is Mr. Jeff Haling and Mr. Michael Lupkus. The floor is yours.
Thank you and good evening. What I would just like to say is the resolution you have in front of you is to, as you said, transfer additional funding for 2 staff members. In the original budget that was adopted, there was funding for 7 staff members, executive assistants, whereby code there is the allowance for 9. The funding for the 2 additional persons is slightly more than $100,000. The dollar amount that is reflected in the resolution is that $100,000 netted against another line item that has a favorable balance forecast for this year. Would bring it down to the just under $56,000. I have Jeff Hallen from my office also, who kind of worked this up, if anyone has any questions or comments.
So for the record, I did speak to the administration, and because we were allocated for the 7 full-time council staff, and we do have 9 council members, I did, for the record, speak to the administration, and we will be making an amendment to change the $55,000 back over to $100,000, so that would take care of the 9 full-time executive assistants for council.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you. I have no further questions. If any of my colleagues, Councilman Gale? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mr. Lupkus, just so I'm understanding, the fact that we changed this number from 55,000 to 100,000 doesn't change the fact that we've got a positive 45,000 in another, a projected positive 45,000 in another line item, so that at the end of the year, we may never use this money. It's just going to be a budgeted item at this point. Do I understand that correctly?
That would be, yes, that would be correct.
So we're not spending any more money. We're just allocating it at this point in time.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gale. Councilwoman Bermudez?
Thank you. Through you, Council President. I have one question. And yes, you know, in the past, every council member has had a council aide, as it's written in the charter. It's something that has been done for quite some time since there was a strong mayor system. But my question is related to the two additional positions. Are they also council aides, or is it a different position?
No, that would be, I'm sorry, may I answer?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yes, that would be the value of two executive assistants. Would be the full value of them. There are some that are working part-time now, but that is up to the council as to how those funds would be used.
Yeah.
Are there any other further questions? Okay. Councilman Gale?
So I don't know if I can put this into one motion, but I'll try. I make a motion that we amend the current resolution to change the dollar amount being transferred to an even 100,000, and that we send this back to council with that amendment and a favorable recommendation.
Do I have a second? Okay, great. A motion has been placed and second. Are there any discussions? Any discussions? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Wonderful. This motion moves back to council with a favorable recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Lepkus. Thank you, Jeff. You're more than welcome to stay if you'd like. And moving on to item number 2 on the agenda, which is a communication from Mayor Bonin with a company resolution authorizing the City of Hartford to enter into a 15-year tax abatement agreement with Overlook Village Associates 3 LLC for the rental housing units to be developed at 421 Granby Street in Hartford, Connecticut. From the administration, I still don't see Tony, but we do have Mr. Todd McClutchy, who's here with us from JHM, our developer. And with that said, Mr. McClutchy, you have the floor.
Well, yeah, first off, thank you very much, committee, for inviting us tonight. This is a development that's been in the works for many years now, and we've made significant progress over the years on the first couple of phases. And I can perhaps just walk you through a quick presentation as to where we are in the development and what we are seeking to request tonight as part of this public-private partnership. Is it all right if I share my screen?
Absolutely.
So, hopefully.
There we go. It's on our screen.
Perfect. Everyone can see that all right?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, again, I'll quickly run through this. Hopefully everyone is familiar with the site, and then we can circle back if there are questions or things that we want to dive into a little bit deeper. But what we are looking for tonight is the pilot agreement for the third phase of development here. What we're looking at on this first page is a picture of the community building itself. This community building will serve the phase in which we is in front of you this evening, and it also serves the first 2 phases. This is where management offices are located. So Monday through Saturday, there's on-site staff, leasing staff, as well as maintenance staff to attend to residents' needs. And then there's a community center, as well as a fitness center, computer lab, a children's play area, and a business center. So this really is the nucleus and heart and soul of the property, where people can, under normal terms, situations, can congregate and interact with one another. Here is just the former conditions of Bowles Park. Obviously, currently, the entire 406 units have been demolished at this point, and we've started on the first 2 phases, which you'll see in a minute, which are located along sort of the southern portion of of the property that we're looking at right now, closest to Weaver School. So here are just some of those former buildings and what those look like. They're obviously very outdated and obsolete when this project came around. And the below picture is a representation of what is there today as part of phases 1 and 2. So JHM, along with Nutmeg Planners and Arthur Anderson, responded to an RFP for that the Housing Authority issued a number of years ago, and we were selected to do this redevelopment. And so we started off with reaching out to residents, working on the development plan, making sure that we took the residents and the Housing Authority's considerations into order as we started the master planning process for all of this. At this point, the entire property has an approved master plan, and the yellow and the blue are currently built out and occupied. And the proposed pilot is for the 3rd phase, which is here labeled in the pink color at the bottom left-hand part of the screen. Here's actually the inside of the community building that we were looking at a minute ago. You were seeing obviously the exterior of it. This is the main space when you come into the building where residents can enjoy the community area. Here's a picture from the groundbreaking of phase 1. So phase 1 was completed in 2018, and phase 2 in late 2019, and we are looking to start up phase 3 in December. So financing is all in place at this point. We are putting together the final pieces to that as we speak, and this is a significant component to rounding out the financing and showing sort of all of the support that this project needs in order to move forward and be successful. The 3rd phase, so the first two, phase 1 was 62 units, phase 2 was 43, and then the current one in front of you right now is for 30 units. And that is a mixture of affordable as well as some market rate units. So there will be 24 affordable units that are at different income tiers, at or below 60% of the area median income. And then 6 units will be market rate, meaning that they're not income restricted at all and will be available for general public. Here's a list of sort of the approximate rents and incomes. We can look at that more closely if anyone has any interest in that later on. But you know, the rents, as you can see, are significantly tiered, all the way from a very low set aside at the 25% AMI level, all the way up to the market rate level, which is pretty much comparable to, give or take, the 60% AMI level. Here is a picture of the completed phase 1. This is the corner of Granby Street and Nahum. You can see that we've used a number of different building types and selections to really give the neighborhood some curb appeal and making sure that, you know, the building and the neighborhoods are unique and really add to the value for the neighbors. Because this is not only about creating value for the residents that live there, but what it can also do to the surrounding neighborhood. And that's really, you know, and that comes through in both the architectural of the buildings, as well as making sure that the landscaping and maintenance are all kept at a very high level. Again, just another couple of pictures here. I just want to show you of some of the finished units, as well as some of the interiors that you'll see in a minute. Just so you can get understand sort of the quality and the thought that went into constructing these and the input that we received from the Housing Authority and its residents in putting these plans together and then going out and constructing. So these are some of the open floor plan concepts for the interiors. The third phase, again, we're looking to start in December. It will take approximately, we're estimating about 14 months to construct in that time frame. So we'd be finished sometime in the spring of 2022, and we would immediately lease up from there. Currently, the property has an extensive wait list, so we will initially pull from that wait list to occupy these 30 units. And to the extent that people are no longer interested from that wait list, we will go back out with another solicitation for residents. Just another picture of the community room, community building, and the club room that's there. There's also a kitchenette in that community building. Here's the conference and meeting room. This is used both by residents can reserve it, as well as we have service providers. Sorry about that. Service providers that will come in and they can have private meetings with residents. A fitness facility, and again, this entire community space will be available to all residents in all phases. Again, a few more photos of the interiors, few exteriors. And why we're here tonight is we're looking for that 15-year tax abatement. It is similar in nature to the prior two. In summary of that is, again, there's a split between the affordable and the market. So there's 24 affordables, which would be at $900 a unit in taxes in the first year. And they escalate for the first 10 years. And then the market rates would be at a market rate tax. So this would generate approximately $34,000 of new additional taxes. The property the land is still currently owned by the Housing Authority, so therefore it was not on the tax roll. This will now generate an additional $43,000 of taxes that will add to Hartford's tax base. In over a 15-year period, it would be is projected over $900,000. We can go into occupancy if anyone has a question there, but like I said, we will pull from our existing wait list that we currently have, and to the extent that that is that needs to be filled, we can go back out with an additional solicitation to find more residents. And I will say, so the demand for phases 1 and 2 has exceeded our expectations. The few market rate rents that we have there have also exceeded our expectations. So we couldn't be happier with the outcomes and the progress that we're making there. We wish we had even more units, but we're working on that. And we hope that phase 3, the first 2 phases are a good example of what we are able to produce, and we hope to continue that down the road. And I guess that's what I have for this evening. And to the extent that anyone has questions, I'm here to field those.
I just, for the record, want to welcome Tony Nelson from Development Services, who has joined us. Hi, Tony.
Hi, thank you, Madam President. Unfortunately, I could not sign in on my computer, so I caught the tail end of your presentation, Todd. And thank you for taking charge of that for me. As Todd has already mentioned, this is a 15-year abatement. It's going to run coterminous with the tax credit liability or compliance period, which is generally 15 years. And the tax credit low-income housing tax credit compliance period will dictate rents and income requirements or rent levels and income levels of any occupant of those 24 affordable units. The other 6 units, which are market rate, are not part of the abatement and will not benefit from the agreement. They will be required to pay market rate taxes or assessed taxes as determined by the assessor. And this is the third phase of a multi-phase redevelopment. Phase 1 and Phase 2 was already approved by council. Phase 1 being approved in March 2017. Phase 2 being approved in May of 2018. And Todd has already informed you that the property was met with a great reception by the residents, by the community. They've done a really nice job on the first 2 phases, and I don't expect any different in the third phase. One of the things that is different from this development versus others is they made the community room or a community center a priority, and that was constructed in the first phase, and it's used as a selling point, and it's a point of congregation and general use for any resident, future and present.
It is a beautiful community room. I walked in it for the first time and it was breathtaking. Great job, Todd,
Yeah.
really. The whole
Thank you.
development. Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
My pleasure.
Are there any questions from my colleagues? Councilman Gale.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I have a couple of questions, if I may. I want to try to walk through this. On page 22 of the presentation, where it says tax abatements summary, do I understand that what the city will actually receive is $468,000 over a period of 15 years?
Todd, I'm sorry, Councilman. Are you referring to the property as a collective or just this one phase?
This phase. I'm looking at page 22, and Todd, I think Todd kind of said this at some point, although I wasn't sure I caught the number that he said. But if I'm reading page 22, it says Willow Creek. The third bullet point says Willow Creek Phase 3 total taxes over 15 years would be projected at over $900,000 with the abatement. The requested total would be approximately $468,000. I don't know, is the $468,000 the number that after the abatement's applied, that's the number, the actual amount of taxes we're going to get?
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now, and so that's why it is a little. So it's like the total is a little over $600,000 for the 15-year period.
All right. I have roughly $600,000, Councilman.
So $600,000 is the amount of taxes we're going to receive?
Is the amount based on a fixed formula of $900 per unit for the affordable units. Now, there is an escalation for those affordable units of 2% per year after the first year, which becomes permanent and cumulative. So approximately $600,000, yes.
600. That's for the market rate plus the affordable units. The total tax is 600,000.
That's correct.
Give or take over 15 years.
That's an estimate. Yes, that's an estimate, Councilman.
Okay, and yeah, it should be. I mean, we should be able to get it pretty accurate because they seem like they're set down pretty accurately. But what is this $468,000 number? What does that mean, or why is it here? It's very confusing.
I agree with you. No, it should just say 15 years, $600,000, and it's about $35,000 in the first year, escalating at 2% there each year after.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. Now, what happens after this is a 15-year tax abatement? So, but the project itself is you've got a very long lease, right? 60, I don't know if it's a 65-year lease on the property.
Correct.
So what happens after year 15? Do these just go to straight taxes at that point with no abatement?
No, so there is an extended use. Would you like me to answer that?
Well, I would answer if you don't mind. So what would happen under the current policy is after the 15 years, the abatement would expire. They would be eligible for future abatements, providing the property remains restricted or the affordability remains intact, and other requirements that it maintains it's the housing quality standard is met. However, they will have to pay a full year of taxes before they can benefit from a renewed agreement or a new agreement in this case. So it would end in 15 years. Year 16, they'd have to pay a full year of tax, and then on the 17th year, if they had applied and were eligible and it was approved, the second abatement or new abatement would phase in.
And what are the requirements for approval at that point?
Well, we can't dictate I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen in 15 years and what the policy will be. But the current policy is that, one, the property be deeded affordable by either mortgage instrument or by deed restriction. So in this case, the low-income housing tax credits, which is the financing instrument, will dictate that certain rents be at a certain level and they all be income restricted based on the rents would be restricted based on the income levels, which are also restricted.
So we're just going to take a second look 16 years from now and see what their operating costs are, what the affordable rents are, and whether they can afford taxes or not. And if they can't afford full taxes at that point in time to keep the project going, we'll consider another abatement. Is that's my understanding?
Correct. That's
okay.
Correct, yes.
And if you could break down for me for us the 30 units, there's 24 that are affordable and 6 that are market. And on, let's see, I'm not sure. Somewhere you have, on page 9. On page 9, you have listed the 30 units that are being constructed. And there appear to be 6 one-bedroom, 18 two-bedroom, and 6 three-bedroom. Can you break down for us which of those are market, and then which are the 25%, which are the 50%, and which are the 75%?
So yes, I can run through if you would like. Tony, do you like me to take that one?
Please, Todd.
Okay. So obviously we do have a mixture of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, and at the 25% level, we have 1 one-bedroom, 6 two-bedrooms, and 1 three-bedroom. At the 50% level, it's 3 1s, 3 2s, 3 3s. At the 50% level, it's 1 1 and 2 3s. So we have a lot of different set-asides, as you can see. At the 60% level, it is 4 two-bedrooms. And then at the market rate, it is 1 one-bedroom and 5 two-bedrooms. So all of these phases 1 and 2 and future ones will all have similar compositions, where we have some of the more deeply tiered income levels all the way through market rate. And the demand, just if you are curious, the biggest demand so far has actually been for the smaller units. Because we had started off in phase 1 a little bit heavier on the 1s and 2s, and we're continuing, as we're looking at phase 4, going a little bit more heavily, as you see in the screen in front of you, towards just more 1s and 2s. Because that's, again,
So So the market rate ones are, there's one bedroom and there are 5 2-bedrooms?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thanks. And one last question, if I may, Madam Chair. Looking at the map that's on page 6, I believe you, yeah, okay. So I believe you said that the yellow and the blue have already been constructed, correct?
Yes, yellow being phase 1, blue being phase 2.
And this is going to be the pink.
Correct, phase 3.
Okay, so what's the green area up at the top?
A future phase of home ownership.
And wasn't home ownership to be included in phase 1, or am I mistaken about that?
And not to be included in phase 1, but it was contemplated to try to get going as soon as possible. And as we started to look into this a little bit further, we have sort of backed off that a little bit and tried to build out and establish the market a little bit better. So their home values in the market, the area is a little bit better established before building the homeowner units.
And there's an awful lot of gray area then that's in between these different colored areas. What's the plans for all the gray areas?
Future phases.
So the expectation is that all of this will be built?
Correct.
And what, if I may, what assurances does the city have that these phases actually will be built, including the home ownership phase?
Well, I mean, I think it's in, so the housing authority still retains ownership of the land. We have a contract with the housing authority to build those phases out. It's in our best interest to do so. That was the reason that we originally responded to this proposal, and that's what we do on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we are going to do, and it also protects the investment and assets that have already been put in place.
All right, thank you. You're muted, Madam Chair.
I apologize. Because of the screen, I can't see if Councilwoman Bermudez has any questions.
Yes, through you, Council President. Can you go back to the slide with the listing of the bedrooms and the amount, the monetary?
Okay.
Yes, that is precisely it.
3 months after the request,
Okay.
So yeah, you can see everything from the 25, 50, 60% that we just talked about in terms of the unit mix. And some being very deep tiered, lower income. Is it showing up at a decent size on your screens?
I'm always on my phone on these meetings because I always have problems on my laptop, so I just maximized it on my phone, which actually comes in handy. Believe it or not. Okay, thank you. For me, Councilman Gale certainly asked a lot of questions that I had, so that was helpful, and looking at this chart was helpful as well. That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bermudez. So there being no further discussions, Todd, would you be able to close this presentation out so that I can see everyone on the screen? And thank you for that presentation. I'm pretty sure the public enjoyed it. and seeing all those pictures of Willow Creek. They're absolutely beautiful. And I had the pleasure of walking in through the units. With that said, are there any other questions, Councilman Gale?
No question, but comment. I would like to commend the developer and our and Tone Nelson and everybody over at the city for putting together the project and for including in the project and including in the resolution that's before us a community benefits agreement that is very robust and has it's now become sort of the standard. It seems like it's become sort of the standard community benefits agreement that we've been requesting and obtaining from all developers. That which allows for 15% of the total construction project to be set aside for certified minority and women business enterprises, and 15% of the total work hours by trade will be set aside for the same group, and 30% of the project total project work hours to be worked by Hartford residents. And I recognize that those are goals, and they're, you know, we certainly appreciate those as goals, and I refer to them as a community benefits agreement. The other thing that I would like to commend staff on is adding a clawback provision in this resolution, which states that should the developer sell the project at any point in time, 10% of the net proceeds would be returned to the city of Hartford, up to, of course, the amount of the abatement. And similarly, if the developer attempted to refinance the project to take equity out, the city would receive up to 10% to repay its tax abatement. So I'm pleased to see those things in it, and therefore I'm pleased to make a motion to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion that's been made and properly second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 For the record, I am recusing myself. I do work for the Hartford Housing Authority. Anyone abstaining from this? With that said, this resolution is being sent back to council with a favorable recommendation. Tony, thank you for joining us. Mr. McClutchy, it was a pleasure having you here with us today. Thank you for the presentation. With that said, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, members.
Thanks everyone for your time this evening.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.